Hello, I'm David Kiley, or DK. Welcome to the Wheelprint Podcast, presented to you by Performax, that puts the soul into the design of your custom sport or everyday wheelchair. As host of the Wheelprint Podcast, I will engage with my guests to uncover the power of their human spirit in their achievements or in their struggle. So kick back and enjoy the ride. Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of 2025 of the Wheelprint Podcast, brought to you by Performax. My first guest of 2025 is a very dear friend, and I have followed him since he was a teenager to this very moment today. I've seen his arc and rise in so many different accomplished spaces and situations. Jeremy Opie Lade was blessed with blazing speed right out of the gate, and he was unmistakable because he had this brilliantly bright red hair on the court. And I can remember him, was it the Mad City Bombers? Yeah, there we go. And Jeremy Opie Lade is born out of Oconto, Wisconsin, and now resides in Janesville, Wisconsin, with his beautiful gold medal wife, Melissa. You know, we're going to get into so many great things, but for a moment, I just want to have a moment of condolence for American Airlines Flight 5342 and the Black Hawk helicopter, where 67 people's lives were lost. And Ope, I don't know about you, but it caused me to reflect just how many times we have been on a commercial jet and in representing our country on national teams, club teams, intercollegiate teams, or just in sport in general. We were heading somewhere with a team, and my heart and soul goes out to the families afterward. And so I just wanted to reflect and give it the respect due for just a moment of silence before we start. All right. Much to cover, my friend, much to cover. And first and foremost, which is most current and most at my pinnacle of experience with you, is that you were very recently inducted into the National Wheelchair Basketball Hall of Fame, class of 2025. And I want you to let us know how you found out about this.
Well, I actually thought it was going to be this episode, so scheduled an appointment to be on your podcast, which is exciting. And for the record, you did introduce me saying that you've been following me for a lot of years. It might be more accurate saying I've been following you literally from workout to training camp to doing everything you were doing. So definitely been following you around for a lot of years, King, and I appreciate that. And it's as exciting as it gets, man. It doesn't, you don't think about it when you're 18 years old or 15 years old and you start going through things, but it really gives you an opportunity to look back at a basketball career that's more than basketball. It's the friendships that we made. It's an opportunity to help others as you helped me, and really get an opportunity to think about what wheelchair basketball did for me as an individual. So this Hall of Fame is as epic of an honor as it can get, and especially coming from you. Like I said, I remember being 18 years old and following you around from gym to gym, being probably that annoying kid that wanted to be Dave Kiley.
Yeah, no, not annoying at all. And this is all about you, Ope. And, with the Hall of Fame, people are confused, I think, that if you're truly trying to be in the Hall of Fame, you probably won't get there, because things get jaded. But if you're just allowing your free flow of your game or your sport, it will carry you to where you're supposed to be, and I think that's what you've done. You've been a great example. But did I hear you say you were pretty surprised?
I was definitely surprised. I was 100% surprised. I've been smiling for a while now, so it's exciting to be able to tell some people when the news breaks and share my happiness with some others. Right now, it's kind of keeping it on the DL.
Yeah, and that's so hard, But yeah, we're just days away now from our ability to announce you through all the NWBA resources and social media and through Dromos and Ishtanyeri and now Christopher. We have so many opportunities to do you justice along with the rest of this class, which, you're in rarefied space, brother, from those that came before us and you. But the class itself, I don't know that you've totally heard. I don't think you have, but all of you have nicknames, which I love. So there's Jeremy Opie Lade. There is Matt Neo Scott. I gave him the nickname Neo. Stevie Rocket Welch. And then Paul Bozy Bose. So I think, a nickname is a thing in the Hall of Fame this year,
Yeah, in the days of wheelchair basketball, we always laugh. People come up for camp, whether it's at Whitewater, we see them along the ways, and it just feels like someone was going to end up with a nickname. It's one of those parts of, one of those things of wheelchair basketball.
Yeah. No, I just love using nicknames or coming up, and if I can come up with them myself and they stick for others, then so be it. But some came in with a nickname, like I think yours found you at 7, I believe. But nonetheless, I think you're probably more known as Opie than you are Jeremy.
Yeah, I tell people all the time.
I like calling you Jeremy, but I know you go either way.
Yeah. So. My business card has Opie on it because anybody in wheelchair basketball knows me as Opie, but you get outside of wheelchair basketball, like my family and them still call me Jeremy, but most call me Opie.
Yeah. Well, this is going to, culminate with your induction first, April 12th in Richmond. You will be deciding who is going to present you before we get there. So that's going to be a huge night. We've gotten really good, as you well know, because you presented Paul Schulte, Pablo, sticking to nicknames. The other tremendous part of how you're going to be recognized, not only in Richmond, which will be powerful, trust me, but let's just move down the road to like August, and you will be part of the Naismith Hall of Fame in it's like that now. We've forged a relationship, so you'll be being recognized along with NBA greats that evening. There'll be 2 nights of just celebration and unbelievable festivity. And this past year we saw Opie, NBA TV cover the event, and it went to millions of people around the world. Millions. So we're really, really fortunate. How do you feel about that? Both nights, actually.
Hey, that's pretty wild. I've been to the Wheelchair Basketball Hall of Fame, as you mentioned. I got to introduce Paul Schulte, one of my lifelong friends, one of my best friends, and that was an absolute honor. And to see how far the Hall of Fame has come is super cool. But this whole new piece, I had no idea. The Naismith. Listen, I'm a basketball junkie, so the ability to be able to go out there and get recognized for efforts in wheelchair basketball, that is above and beyond, my friend. That is pretty wild.
Right on, man. You're giving me God bumps right now. Yeah, that's how it should be. That's how it should be, man. And it should have, we would hope it could have always been, but we have to respect our past, knowing where we're going now in the future, and we're in a really good space. So, but I characterize you as the ultimate UW Warhawk, okay? University of Wisconsin Whitewater, and through education, player, coach. What came to mind for me is the culture there, and how you perceive the culture in such a environment, and frontline experience.
Yeah, that's a great question. We get asked about the culture at UW Whitewater a lot, and it's more than just kind of myself. It's people before me, Tracy Chenoweth, Mike Frogley. We've had a long list, Ron Likens, a long list of people that have built up the culture at UW Whitewater and a long history. I think one of the things that's a little bit unique about what we do, or feels a little bit unique, is we have had a ton of Paralympic athletes, men's, women's, outside of wheelchair basketball. But within that pursuit of getting to the highest level of wheelchair basketball, we really have a lot of fun. And that's kind of what our culture is known for, is enjoying the work, enjoying the process, and the reward's going to be there at the end, which for a lot of athletes has been an opportunity to compete at the Paralympics, or whether it's national championships here in NWBA. So I think that hard work is a part of it, but the fact that the people around Whitewater enjoy the process.
Yeah, well, your Facebook profile photo pretty much says it all. I was really attracted to it, doing a little research, and that photo just jumps out. It's like, look, man, that there's an environment there that's special, and those players and those coaches, they love being there. They love who they are in that moment. So I wanted you to know I paid attention to that. And that's just one photo. That's just one time of, but it's captured well. Then there's you said it's fun, but the fun parts and went all the way back. Let's talk Baller's Dream for a second. Nobody. It's not talked about much anymore. But why don't you recount what was going on when that was an annual occurrence in Roseman, and the kind of talent that it was attracting for the love of the game?
This is before the days of social media. So in this current day of social media, people, the application process, which there was none for the record, would have been long, because this was really cool. We've had a lot of people at UW Whitewater that have played at Paralympics and played at a high level. And some people that have played for Canada and Australia in different countries, where we didn't get an opportunity to necessarily compete against them, but we got to or play with them, but we got to compete against them. So the idea behind Baller's Dream is, let's bring all these people together that have built some relationships on the court, that have led to off-court relationships. And let's get together. No coaches, no referees. We'll keep score old school, going by ones and twos, play to 15. We'll mix up teams as many times as we can. And we just spent a whole weekend playing some ball. We had, Paul Schulte has been out, Dave Kiley's been out, Dave Durapost from Canada, Joey Johnson, Pat Anderson. We've had some of the world's best wheelchair basketball players out playing what we called Baller's Dream, because that's what it was. It was just us. We didn't advertise. There wasn't anybody in the stands watching us hoop. We just mixed up teams and played all day long and got some lunch and went and hung out at night, but just had a good time playing basketball with our friends.
Yeah, and how would you categorize the smack talking?
Well, our good friend Will Waller was leading the way for some smack talk, so there was no shortage of everybody letting their friends know if they got scored on or if they made a mistake. But that's part of what we enjoy doing on the court as well. So yeah, no shortage of that.
Yeah, I think Baller's Dream needs a comeback, man. That would be worth the price of admission with, and I'm so glad I had the invitation. I'm so glad I found the time and the money to get there, and just, it was like you said, it was just for the love of the game and playing with the most elite players that you could imagine, and yeah, so I'll remember that forever.
Yeah, it was fun too, because UW Whitewater, we have a little small gym that's just our wheelchair basketball gym. The name of it is Roseman, and if you get in there, it's very unassuming, and you see some pictures of it, and I'm sure if you didn't know wheelchair basketball, you wouldn't know the amount of just absolute superstars and gold medals and bronze medals and silver medals that have come out of that gym. So it was really fun to see some people from across the country come in and play in our home stomping grounds at Roseman Gym.
Yeah, I mean, and Roseman just comes with quotation marks, right? It's just like, it's just part of the fabric. So I wanted to just go down that road, that memory for a minute. Well, look, you the player, my brother. The early 2000s, you were planting your flag. As a player, you won a D2 championship in 2002 and named the MVP. In 2003, you won an intercollegiate championship, named the MVP. And then in 2002, you became a world champion for the U.S. national team. And then in 2006, you got you got a silver medal in the world championships as well. So it seemed like then you had it going on. So what was that time frame like to you at the time you were going through it?
Yeah, you know what is interesting is where all this started was not all of it, but in 99 I got an opportunity to try out for the U.S. men's national team and went to a qualifying tournament out in Mexico City, and then got to come back and try out for the team that was going to compete in Australia and for the Paralympics in Australia, and they had to cut down to 14, which most know that you're only going to take 12. So I was into the final cut. And, when they chose that final cut for going to Australia, my name was not one of them that was read. So at that point, I had been cut from the team. And I remember we tried out in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is close enough for me to drive from Wisconsin. And on my drive home, I kept thinking, as most athletes do, about what you could have done better, what I should have done differently, trying to get over the sting of getting cut. You make it that close and you don't make it. And I specifically remember getting back to Roseman Gym to drop off my basketball chair. And when I was dropping off my basketball chair, it had dawned on me that maybe I didn't put in enough work. Maybe preparation hadn't met opportunity at that point. And I said to myself that if I was going to get cut again, it wasn't going to be lack of effort and lack of work. And I remember not dropping off my basketball chair. I remember going right into the gym as soon as I drove home from a tryout and start to put up some shots and start to work out, and really kind of made a deal with myself that I was going to put in enough work. And it doesn't always lead to success. You don't always make the team. There's not always this success story at the end of it. But I was going to make sure that I would be at peace with knowing that I put in as much work as I could to give myself the best chance to be successful. Fast forward ahead to a couple of years, and all of that hard work started to meet opportunity, and it got a few medals, a couple of championships under my belt, and it's a credit to the people around me, to the coaches that I was there, to the people supporting me, to when you get cut, to not giving up, because we're all going to face some challenges in life.
Yeah, well, that's a story of legend, and it brings home the point that greatness doesn't wait. And your chair didn't even get out of your car before it was back to work in the gym, not everyone approaches it like that. Victory loves preparation. So work ethic I can really identify with, and I can see it in others, and that's what would lead me to your request to meet in the gold medal camp in the where were we?
That was out in New York. I remember this pretty vividly.
Yeah. North Country Community College in the Adirondacks, and we were in the gym well before everybody else. You and I going through workout, and we had the same thing on our mind, but you gotta give it away in order to keep it, so it was just a natural deal that you and I will always remember. The listeners are probably going, what the heck are they talking about? But it's just one of those moments in time that those involved aren't going to forget. But yeah, you're a 3-time Paralympian and a bronze medalist, and you mentioned part of the national team experience. But what was your Paralympic experience and impression in those 3 opportunities?
Yeah, I think what gets lost in the mix, if you're just getting into Paralympic wheelchair basketball and you look up what the U.S. men's team has done, 3 consecutive gold medals, and I think in the U.S. Being good at basketball is just standard. You look at the Dream Team and a lot of gold medals, but you look back and even for our 3 Paralympic gold medalists in a row for the men's team, you start to understand how difficult it is, and you're a shot or two away from being knocked out of crossovers and ultimately looking at a 4th place finish instead of a gold medal finish. And the amount of effort that comes into preparing for a tournament that happens once every 4 years. I don't have any regrets for some of those. Would I like some more medals in some of those? I think back to Athens, and I want to say we were the number 1 seed coming out of pool play, and we ended up losing to GB, who was the 4 seed in crossovers. So that knocked us out of medal contention. And it's just one of those things. It's not easy to win a gold medal. So you see the U.S. men's team, the U.S. women's team out there making it happen right now, and don't take it for granted because it's not as easy as they're making it look right now. I'll say that.
Oh, no doubt. And the ones that got away are the ones that are more vivid than almost even winning. That Athens trip was a 7th place finish, and it was like one official's call late in a game that moved us out of contention. Go figure that DK's talking about an official's call, but I still remember that, and but anyway, you've got quite a storied past with the national team, and I was able to witness and be part of some of that, and but then there came a time where the player also turned coach. When did that occur in your path where you became Whitewater's coach, and why?
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. When I was growing up as a kid, I knew I wanted to be a PE teacher. And everybody's got something that they want to be when they're a kid, and I worked at colleges enough time to know that changes, and people change majors and they change up their mind. But for whatever reason, it always stuck with me. So I went to UW Whitewater to be a PE teacher because I wanted to be around a gym. I enjoyed helping people kind of learn the process of what it takes to be successful. So I think, anybody that's been around the sports enough knows that just because you can play the game doesn't mean you can coach the game. So I think my background in education and learning how to teach people different skills, whether it's breaking down what individual talents are going to be needed or what individual skills are going to be needed to be successful, I think it's always been kind of in my personality. I like being around people. I like helping people succeed. I really think coaching is life coaching. So we can teach people to be successful on the court, but I try to teach it in a fashion that those lessons translate into being successful in a job, in their relationship, in their walk in faith, whatever it might be. So I always try to approach the way I coach wheelchair basketball with the way I approach living life, and I've enjoyed the process. I hope other people that I've had an opportunity to coach enjoy the process as well.
Well, I mean, you're being totally humble, which I would expect, but you must have more than loved it, because you came away with 6 national championships.
Yeah.
And so to say,
there was a run at UW Whitewater.
Your teams had to love your coaching.
Yeah, you surround yourself by good people. Again, more than just basketball, but in life. And we had a lot of fun in the process. We had a lot of fun working towards a common goal. I still stay in touch with my 11 years of coaching at UW Whitewater. I still get some text. I was able to do some broadcasting for the Paralympics for this last go around. And I used a couple of my one-liners that some of my athletes had heard in practices. So when I'd get done broadcasting a game, I'd still get some text messages from some of my guys being like, hey, that's one of the Opie-isms that we're used to hearing. And so it's fun to still stay in touch with those athletes and hear about their success stories beyond the court.
Yeah, Opie-isms. I love it. Okay, so that was a powerful time for the program and for anybody to be part of. Then you turned administrator within within the system. Is that right?
Yeah, I kind of changed gears a little bit. I started to work within the academic advising office at UW-Whitewater. I was running a program called Pathway for Success. We would have some students in which we would provide a little bit of additional academic support to help them, give them a better chance at being successful during that critical first year of college. Which was a fun transition for me because getting out of coaching to do something else, it was a real easy transition because I was still coaching college kids. Part of the struggle for me is I didn't do a great job of kind of putting a boundary on my life and managing my time. So I was coaching well into the evenings and talking to athletes. I was gone all my weekends. If I wasn't gone coaching, I was gone playing. So when I got towards that end of my 11 years of coaching at UW-Whitewater, I was exhausted basically. It was either like the program was going to suffer or like I was going to suffer, and it had to be the point where I had to step away. I'm not done coaching. I absolutely love coaching. I'll always be around the gym. I'll always be around the program. I actually recently back at Whitewater men's wheelchair basketball team, helping out my boy Jake Williams. The future is bright here at UW Whitewater. I got to coach him. Now I'm kind of assistant coaching and helping him out. So I'll always be around the program. But yeah, that transition into helping other college students that weren't athletes, still very much in line with what I like to do in terms of my personality and what I feel success from.
Yeah, and I wanted to it just hit me that you mentioned a few names within the Whitewater system, Truesdale, Frog, Tracy Chenoweth, Steve Wilson. We've got to throw him some shine. He actually nominated you to the ballot of the NWBA, and I had a phone conversation before this podcast and informed him that that his nomination proved very worthy, and so he was really proud. I just wanted to throw that out and not lose the opportunity while I was thinking about it. So all right, so Paris, France. I mean, the opportunity comes down that there's an opening because of a comeback made by Paul Schulte to the national team, and now you have lined up to be the guy for NBC color commentation and another Warhawk on the court doing interviews. You kind of teamed up how you could through that and those roles, but man, I really thought you were a smooth operator in my living room. I really enjoyed your style, and so why don't you just tell us somewhat of that experience of. I know you've been asked this many, many times, but if you wouldn't mind repeating your experience with us.
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate the kind words too, because anyone that kind of has asked about it, I've probably heard the same answer, but. I've been in a lot of basketball games. You've been in a lot of basketball games. Coaching, playing, you get some nerves. I've had a few players that have recently graduated. They asked me to officiate their wedding, so I got to officiate a wedding. We've been in some high stress environments before. But of all of those things, broadcasting might have been the thing I was the most terrified about. Live TV. I don't know if you saw the numbers, but luckily I didn't see it before the Paralympics. But this is great ratings, great viewings. It was awesome. But it takes a bunch. Again, it's preparation, meeting opportunities. So what I did is try to put in the work. So the rosters, the game, some strategies, the other teams, and I got an opportunity to talk about wheelchair basketball, which is something that I just absolutely love to do. Credit to Sloan, who was our play-by-play person. She was unbelievable. You want to talk about a point guard setting someone up. She was phenomenal. Couldn't have done it without her. Our whole team, Mark Ortega was our stats guy. So it was just a really, really fun opportunity. Cool to see NBC really moving the needle on the Paralympic movement. And we start to see, all those years of playing in the Paralympics and people were searching for scores for stuff, but now you just turn on the TV and you see it, and it's pretty phenomenal. So shout out to NBC and everybody else that was on that team as well. Fun stuff.
Yeah, good. It brings to mind a quote: "If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough." So I don't. No matter where we've been, we'll if we're in the experience level of asking more of ourselves in new situations, fear is going to be something that needs to be managed. And fortunately for persons like yourself or myself, we have a foundation to rely on that's bigger than anything. And when we talk about faith, you're never alone. I'm also reminded, Ope, that you know, and I think you might agree because you've alluded to it that here we are and we're doing all these things and there's accomplishment and recognition, but where has it ever been that we did it by ourselves? Ever. I'm using my experience, but always like Sloan, you brought up, you needed her, she needed you in that environment. But then every other instance in my life, it's been a person, it's been a team, it's certainly been a wife, and a life grounded in faith. Can you relate to that?
Yeah, whether you talk about your walk with faith and saying, hey, God's been with us every step of the way, to the people that we surround ourselves with. I think back to, we talked about the gold medal camp where we were training 9 hours a day. And before that 9 hours a day, you and I got to go in the gym. It would have been easy for you to have been like, no, Ope, like just stick to your training sessions. I need a little time to myself. I want to get some shots up. So I'm a firm believer. I wouldn't be here without a bunch of people that I mentioned, and there's no way for me to mention all of them, from my teammates to
Right.
coaches to obviously my beautiful wife Melissa, my mom and dad and brother, the way they handled everything. We're all. I believe we're a product of the things that we have been through and the product of the people that have helped us get through those things. And I'm very thankful for everybody along the way that's helped me.
All right. Now, you're not satisfied with status quo because you've made a career change.
Yeah. Unique opportunity. I'm working for Top End Sports right now. Kind of my passion has always been adaptive sports, whether it's basketball is my big thing, but I see the difference maker that equipment can do, and the fitting of getting some equipment in the right, or some athletes in the right equipment and a good fit, and my ability to be able to help some people do that has met some opportunities. So I'm working full time with Top End Sports and helping people get in basketball chairs and tennis chairs and pickleball chairs, hand cycles, racing chairs, all that kind of good stuff. So excited about this new challenge.
Yeah. And what do you think of the growth of equipment and technology from your time till now?
Hey, it's different. It's funny when you think about like the time frame, and I think about a kid right now, and their probably basketball chair looks relatively similar over the last handful of years. But we think when I started playing, they didn't have a fifth wheel or a sixth wheel. That's when it first started to come out. That was your chair, Dave, and that kind of changed the game
Yeah,
a
and
little bit.
Steve Wilson called it hideous. It was like was it a Stars and Stripes, or you had a. He goes, yeah, you remember Opie back then? He was in that hideous chair, and I'm cracking up.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
but
all got our
yeah,
frame of reference.
we're in a good spot right now. Performax makes great wheelchairs. Top End makes great wheelchairs. We got a bunch of people out there that understand kind of a setup to put some people in, so they have their best balance and the best opportunity at being successful on the court. So I think we're in a really good place right now, where there's a lot of knowledge out there. Whether that's getting people fit and set up in the right chair, there's a lot of knowledge in the engineering department. Everybody's trying to cut weight where they can cut weight, and ultimately trying to take away the impacts of your adaptive equipment, and ultimately let your athleticism shine. And that's where the equipment is heading right now.
Yeah, no, it's just a crazy time in this world, and I'm going to give my book a little bit of a plug. Wheelhead. I went way, I really tried to make chapters historical in terms of what happened when and by who, and so I go as far back as the Quadra days in their short-lived 2 to 3 year existence. but how they changed the landscape with technology. Seal bearings, quick release axles, center of gravity. Uh, it was just remarkable, and yet we have to keep our finger on where it all came from, right? Because today's athletes just going, oh, gimme, and yeah, okay. I don't know where all that came from, but I like it, But
Yeah.
it helps to know.
Yeah, I think what's easy to get lost in the mix too is we talk about our basketball chairs. We're talking about the technology there, but how much has that changed our everyday chair? Like we're in our basketball
Everyday
chairs a
chair.
couple hours a day, and our everyday chairs are lighter and faster and stronger, and they look cooler, and it's just less a part of us than it is just a piece of equipment that we use.
Yeah, all from athlete influence. It started in garages in my day. Where we were not happy with what the world's telling us to stay in a hospital looking chair and be independent. And it's like, oh man, this is a dead end street. And so to be part of those early times, Bud Rumpel and the Detroit Sparks with the very first rigid frame. From that came like, I think I'm gonna go home to Sacramento State, and where I was living and playing, I'm gonna make a rigid chair, and man, it wasn't square. The camera was crazy, but man, it so outperformed what I was in, and so there were moments like that, and I'm really glad that you are in. And on the same teammate with Paul, great things are going to happen, and I'm also glad as a Performax loyal athlete and sponsored dude that there's no turf wars, between the two, and it's easy for us to talk about it and be real about it. So. Yeah, Wheelhead. You can find it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, or you can come direct to my website. But now's the time to really talk about your gold medal, and that's Melissa. I really want listeners to know about the delicate balance between life with a wife and a career that has us going in every direction. And anyways, I remember when you first started dating, courting, and being consumed with each other. But this is your time to easily make her shine. So tell us about Melissa.
Yeah, well, first off, I will fully acknowledge I have outkicked my coverage, and I am very thankful for that. My wife, Melissa, she's a rock star. We actually met in high school. We ended up sitting next to each other at a study hall. Her maiden name is Lane, Lane. My name is Lade, Lade. So we sat next to each other based on alphabetical order, and we got to know each other in study hall and started dating in high school. And kind of went through our college years, getting married shortly after college. But she has been nothing but supportive of, like you said, my career and my passion. I'm in a really cool spot where my career has always been in line with my passion, whether it was coaching wheelchair basketball or helping young students be successful at UW-Whitewater, or now working in the adaptive athletics industry. That requires being at tournaments on the weekends and enough travel that make things difficult for our significant others back home. But she's been nothing but supportive. She's been my biggest fan. And when we talk about putting yourself around, surrounding yourself by good people, she's honestly as good as they get. So I wouldn't be where I am today without her, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I'm in the exact same boat. Well, look, I mentioned you were blessed with the gift of speed, but you must have a real innate need for speed. I mean, tell us about your motorcycle and and some of your other toys that go fast.
Yeah, this is all my dad's fault. I tell everyone this all the time. Is we grew up on, whether it was mini bikes or three wheelers. I was injured in a car accident when I was 8, and I already had the bug. I was on mini bikes and three wheelers. And what I tell people is you have this point in your life where you're faced with some challenges. For me, it was being in a car accident, and all of a sudden I was in a wheelchair, and I had one of two options. I can either, change the things that I was passionate about, because riding a motorcycle or getting on a three-wheeler when you're in a wheelchair seems like this impossible task, or you can surround yourself by some people that are going to find a solution. And that was my dad. I remember my first four-wheeler, you still had to shift it with your foot, and I can't use my feet at all. So he welded a shifter to it. And he's like, yeah, you know what? You're 10 years old. You should be jockey shifting a four-wheeler through the woods. So my dad believed in me, and ever since then, if I'm not playing wheelchair basketball or playing sports, I'm definitely a car guy. I've had a couple of motorcycles. Drove my motorcycle out to Sturgis from Wisconsin to South Dakota, put all the miles on going out there. I definitely have a couple of cars that go faster than they should, whether it's mini trikes or whatever it is. If I'm not playing basketball, I'm out in my garage working on something.
Yeah, I've seen some really great photos, and we've had discussions, and and with all of our toys, we may have, or not even toys, we may have had to make adaptations to make them work for us, like your dad with the shifter. I got a new John Deere lawnmower, right, and I just jumped on it like it was the old beater I had, and I was pretty familiar with it. And, I got down near the water and of our property, and the reverse on my old guy would, in between it would stop. But with this new, I started to back up, and it was painfully forever slow but fast that I went straight into the pond with a brand new first time riding John Deere lawnmower. And the wife Sandy was up on the deck, and I'm throwing my headphones off, I'm reaching for my phone, trying to throw it out, I'm in the water. And she comes running down and all freaked out, rightfully so. And there's some crazy injuries and even deaths of lawnmowers in water. Yeah. But anyway, I didn't realize all that. And so neighbors and a friend come, ratchet me out, ratchet the mower out. And a NASCAR buddy came over, and we changed the oil 6-7 times, and trying to get, not lose my investment. And then went to a fabricator, NASCAR, through his contacts, and now I have a reverse hand control, and it looks just like if John Deere did it all, right? But it made it possible, and why I'm putting myself out for the wrath of jokes that might come from this story, I don't know. But
hey, sometimes we got to tell some humbling stories,
Yeah, well, I have a few. Hey, so what? I know you're in the career change. So what next? Kind of question is kind of probably wrapped up in a new career path. But do you see any? You said you weren't through with coaching, and what's next for you, Ope?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, my new career with Top End has opened up some availability to help out Jake Williams be back in the coach role, assistant coach with him. So I've been having a lot of fun doing that. And as opportunities present themselves, my plan is to apply for any coaching positions through the NWBA that might become available in any way. I kind of do what you did. You dragged me along for all those years, and I wouldn't be here without you. And if I can get an opportunity to help some kids develop, whether it's at the young age or at the national team level, whatever it can be. So definitely looking to be on the sidelines again a little bit more and play a role. I've always been at our camps, so I'll be at a bunch of camps. whether it's at UW Whitewater or other universities. I know we got some plans for putting on some clinics so we can start to help move the game forward as much as we can.
Yeah. Now you mentioned helping Jake out, and I heard you say assistant coach. Now, are you going to be in Tuscaloosa next weekend?
No, I won't. I won't travel everywhere with UW Whitewater as of right now. But like I said, kind of being in the gym, helping them out on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Right
it'll
on.
develop to me traveling with them at some point, but not right now.
Yeah, I was just kind of hopeful because Brent and is bringing Miles and myself in for a book signing, and it's during that collegiate tournament, so I'll see Jake and everybody there throwing down with their with eight collegiate teams. So I was just kind of hopeful I might run into you back, but that's all right. That's all right. Well, look, we're getting to the end of our time. Is there anything you want to still talk about? I'm not rushed for time, nor are you, it looks like, but is there any parting words or any other discussion or questions you'd have of me?
Yeah, one of the things I get asked quite a bit, whether I was working at academic advising or coaching for UW Whitewater, is kind of a piece of advice for people coming into college. And one thing I've always thought of, whether you're going into college or not, is on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a yearly basis, we're all presented with some opportunities. And for one reason or another, time commitment or fear of failure or whatever it is, it feels like we shy away from more opportunities than we take advantage of. And I try to tell people, take advantage of opportunities to try new things, whether it's volunteering with an organization or, getting an opportunity to try a new sport or whatever it might be, going to a different church or whatever your opportunity might be. The absolute worst case scenario is you've gained some knowledge and you know that's not for you. But the best case scenario, maybe it's something that's going to change your life. I think about some of the student assistants along the way that we've had help at UW Whitewater. I'm sure they're apprehensive about coaching wheelchair basketball. They didn't have a disability. They didn't know anything about it. And I think about some of those individuals as they're still involved in wheelchair basketball, whether it's refereeing or coaching a junior program or some of those things along the way. And I think there's opportunities like that for everybody, whether it's adaptive athletics or otherwise. But when you get provided an opportunity, take an opportunity. Take the opportunity.
Yeah, and particularly as a junior, and if you're a parent of a junior, the groundwork being laid in the classroom is, if you wait till you get to college, it's too late. In a lot of cases, you have to develop, a work ethic in the classroom, and how many times have we seen great talent not be able to move into the future because of their inability to stay up academically. So it's a good words of advice and suggestion, and all the collegiate programs are really good today, I think, for helping students that could be in struggle. And then there are those programs that just junior programs that demand your attention in the classroom. And that makes your coach's job so much easier when you get those athletes, Well, look, Hall of Fame, it's a great time talking to you, and it's just like we're just having a big rap session, right? And I appreciate you and what you've done and what you yet are going to do. And so I want to thank Jeremy Opie Lade for being our first guest of 2025. And you can find us on our YouTube channel and Apple and Spotify. One more book plug, Wheelhead, available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and at DaveKileyDK3.com for any signed copies you might like. And I know you'll enjoy it. Nothing but good feedback and a 5-star rating on Amazon. So much for that plug. But it's my podcast. No. All right, Jeremy. Thanks so much, and I'm so proud of you, man. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, buddy. Wouldn't be here without you, and enjoyed chopping it up. We'll see you soon.
All right, peace. I know you enjoyed today's guest on the Wheelprint Podcast, and thank you for listening. I invite you to check out all our episodes on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and on our YouTube channel. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, Performax Wheelchairs, the Sweet Ride. 25 years of excellence and experience. Choose Performax and never be let down. Follow us on Instagram at DK3_Soul of the Game.